Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Reveal Report on a Monday. Very excited for tonight's show as we get into something very interesting. It's a topic of conversation that's going viral. A younger generation is now looking into this. You're seeing videos on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. People are posing the question. They're like, what's going on here? We're talking about the AI system. We're talking about the book of Revelation, the beast system, the chip. What's going on? How does this come together? We're going to get into it. It's going to be an amazing discussion. I want to thank you guys all for being here and subscribing, guys. We're at 52,000 people on YouTube this year, or in the next coming year, 2026. I want to boost it up, man. I want to get this. I want to get this thing huge, and it's all organic. And I thank you. The one thing I will say is I'm noticing a lot of channels starting to pop up. I'm going to bring in my co-host very soon and our guest, and we're going to get into that as well. A lot of channels are popping up talking about the same type of things that we're talking about here, except we've been doing it for almost 5 years. And now these people are coming out of the woodwork a year and a half, and they're really trying to do the same type of thing. I find it fascinating. I guess everyone really is excited and intrigued about these type of conversations, the occult, the supernatural, the esoteric. That's what you're here for. If you're new, thank you. And again, please subscribe. Before we get started, we're on Patreon where we do an after show, and I love to fill it with content. And one of the things was to leave the YouTube channel and just upload everything to Patreon. However, there's been some amazing support, incredible support about keeping this show here on YouTube. And I want to acknowledge those people who send something, contribute, and donate on PayPal to keep this show here on YouTube for all to consume, watch, and share. 3 unbelievable women, guys. We got to give them a shout out. I'm talking about Stephanie S., Carmen S., and Lisa M. 3 beautiful, amazing souls, amazing women who I'll do it almost every single week. Lisa M. for the past year, and I'm thankful and grateful. And they basically say in their messages to me, hey, we love what you're doing. Keep doing it. Share it with the world. So give them a special thank you in the comment section. Stephanie S., Carmen S., Lisa M., Jesse, we're going to have to do a little gift bag for them and send it out for Christmas and give them a little something because they are amazing. Again, thank you so much, ladies, for sending something my way and helping me to do the work, the effort, the energy, and the editing and keep the show going. Okay, without further ado, my co-host, please welcome Miss Jessie Zaboter. Jessie, how you doing?
Good, good. And I totally agree with you. A special thank you for these amazing women who
Yeah.
are faithful every week. And we just have the best supporters and viewers.
I mean,
It's such a great community. So,
I
uh,
love what you said. I can't even follow that. It's perfect. You said it perfectly. And we do have the most amazing viewers
yeah.
and amazing guests, amazing content, I believe. New season, guys, for those who are joining us, started a couple of weeks ago. As you can see, it's HD. I got a new microphone. We got new graphics. More is coming. Believe me, we're going to do some in studio interviews coming up in the new year. Lots of new guests coming up. So a lot is going on. Stay tuned as we begin to evolve the channel even more and more and more. Just when another channel pops up, Jesse, and tries to kind of like maybe do it the same thing we're doing, we have to change the game, right? We have to be more on the cutting
Right.
edge.
Well, we are more the game changer and we are more cutting edge.
I
No one
love it.
else has what we have on this channel.
I love it. I agree. Very good. All right, guys, we're going to get into this conversation. We're going to bring on my guest who, interesting enough, I got to give him a little praise. I got to give him his flowers because this guy, we brought on a few years ago and, some of the people never heard of him, before. He had a book and, he started doing more interviews, more interviews, more interviews, more. I'm just, I can't believe it. I don't know. I could go anywhere and I say the name Gary Wayne. I'm like, oh, Gary Wayne. Oh my God, that guy's how does he have so much knowledge? How does he have so much information?
Right.
It's like a computer. His mind is like a computer, very knowledgeable, and an incredible privilege for myself and Jesse to have him on the
Absolutely.
show. Jesse, I am excited to bring him back. Please welcome Gary Wayne. Gary, welcome back.
Yay.
Well, thank you for inviting me back, and so happy to be here with you guys tonight. And so, I want people to know I do not have a photographic memory. So, and some things I remember well, and some things I do not. So, names are things I struggle with, for example. So, everybody has their own gifts, and I try and use what I have. And People are saying, well, you must be doing just incredible amount of research, because the things you talk about, you evolve and you add more. And yeah, I do, but not a great deal, only in certain areas where I want to do a few more things. And what I did when I started out about 10 years ago, doing small podcasts and things with Book One, is I knew I couldn't go too far with what we were talking about, because everything I was talking about was pretty revolutionary at the time. And to go beyond that would have been like too much, I think. So what I did was I just sort of have been carrying more information forward and doing a little bit of additions on some of the areas as we go, but most of it was already done for Book One.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kerry. All right, we're going to get into it. The B system, 666, the chip, Revelations, the apocalypse. What does it all mean? Well, the easy way to say this, ladies and gentlemen, what the topic is, it's going to be a mixture of things, to be honest. But they say that in the Bible, Revelation, that a time will come where all man, in order to consume food, to pay their bills, to live, to vote, to do what they need to do for everyday essentials, must carry the number of the beast. Fascinating. We fast forward, because we all thought we'd be branded with an actual iron, maybe. I mean, it was archaic to think that in the 60s and 70s, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, AI is here. The technical revolution has arrived. I don't think we need to be branded. No way. In no way, shape, or form. I think there's another mythology to this, and we're going to get into it. Let's see what the world is talking about. The Tipping Point has a show, and they got into this. And it's a very interesting topic. It's the first of many clips I want to share. I'll begin with the first clip. I want you all to watch, turn up your volumes, take a look, and then I'll get both your comments on what they had to say. Take a listen to this.
China. This is something that's coming to the entire world. Revelation 13 tells us there's going to be a global control of all of humanity. You can't buy or sell without taking the mark. And so talk about that. Talk about just the level. And I heard someone say, you can't have that beast system without having some type of super intelligence that's regulating that system.
Well, I think, yes, China was at the forefront of rolling out this control platform, I call it. And it includes, cameras, video surveillance. It includes photographic interpretation and surveillance. If you've seen sample footage of what the social credit score system and the surveillance system looks like in China, you'll see that as there's throngs of people, each one has a little box. Sometimes it's a green box, sometimes it's a red box. Yeah. And if you look very closely, there's little clues as to what exactly is going on with that person that's been identified. And you can very much see that because China has a digital yuan, they can tie the, I would say compliance is the best word to use, right, with the policies of the CCP to a monetary throttle. You obey, you get good things, you get rewards, you get permission. Yeah. If you do not comply, you get torqued down. You can't fly in a plane. You can't spend your funds in the way that you had freedom before. So this is the proof case. It's stage setting, and it's ominous in terms of its capability and increasingly its rollout throughout the world. Because look, if you've gone through a port of call, international flights, even in the US, and you'll notice there's cameras everywhere. They're studying your face and they're associating that with your passport. Yes. And these systems are also here. So it's just that we don't see it on this side. They're much more secretive about it, I think, in my opinion. So,
well,
it's a rollout. It's carbon tax credits. It's a digital monetary system. And if you're good, you get points and you could spend. And if you're bad, they take it away. I mean, it's happening right now as we speak in different parts of the world. I'll begin first with you, Jesse. What are your thoughts on what you just seen?
Yeah, there was so much packed in that. And I think, one of the first things to address is, what we've all heard that this mark of the beast may come as, and like you've brought out, it could be digital currency, it could be, things that kind of operate off of your quantum currencies. For years, since the 80s, we've heard about a mark that would be placed on the forehead, the hands, similar to scripture. But then people would even speculate, is that going to be a barcode? Is that going to be a chip? Could that chip be passed through vaccinations or other means? And all of that leading to something that's overseeing. What is that something that we have to comply with? Is it artificial intelligence? Is it kind of like a collective consciousness that they're going to call the God or the Christ consciousness? I think there's a lot for us to dive into with all of this.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Gary, let's get you to touch on the video that you saw and your comments and what you heard there.
Yeah, this is such a big area, so I'll stay focused with
Yes.
the comments and build on that. And so I think the important reference there is to China, where they pioneered the blockchain technology that they've applied to the ability through social credits to let you do or not do based on how well you score on your social credits in terms of what they see you doing, what they want you to do. So you might not even be able to go see a movie if your social credits aren't where they want to be, or to go to a local entertainment. I mean, they control all aspect with that blockchain technology, which is part of the cryptocurrency technology that Jesse was talking about, and ever increasingly being developed for the quantum level. And so once we start looking at that aspect of it, is okay, well, why would that be? Well, they need a system that can work in all dimensions. And most importantly, they need to make sure that at the quantum level, the money of the ruling elite is protected. So when you look at this sort of science and technology that's part of quantum mechanics and quantum computing, AI, and everything associated with that, it's actually part of the belief system of geomancy, as in being able to access sort of different portals in that branch of the meaning of an application of geomancy through codes and things like that. But in this case, very advanced codes and algorithms. And so they have to make the cryptocurrency interdimensionally safe for the rich, because once they lose, if they were to lose their money, they lose all power. So that's got to be done. That's part of what's being developed. And the issue in developing that and taking it to another level was where AI was is currently located at, even though it's ramping up very, very quickly. At the 2024 Davos meeting, where they highlighted the future is AI, they realized that AI is not where they want it to go. It's killing them on their timetable. And that's why you've had this double, tripling, quadrupling down, whatever factor of 10 you may even want to use to be able to get this to happen faster. And what we've seen this year is absolutely extraordinary. But understand that this ties in with AI technology, and you have the quantum level of technology, and AI is part of that, because you need the AI to do the multiple searches, the multiple tasks, and to do it in a way that's invisible and controlled from the background that we can't see with what they're really doing with it. So it's a merging of technologies. So I wouldn't sort of downplay the evolution to where we're going from where we came, like the UPC code. That's still part of the whole system. The computer language is the same computer language that was used. Now it may upgrade to another level shortly, but it's building and evolving. And right now we have parallel technologies that are all starting to create a nexus point. But just even though when we get to that nexus point, that's not going to be the beast system yet. it's not the beast system of the Antichrist, as we understand the four components of the beast empires, his system, and the Antichrist, and its religion. So we'll see what looks like the beast system, and everybody's going to, that's it, but it won't be. And then Babylon will have its system introduced, and everybody will say that's it, but it's not. Antichrist will take it to one more level up once he takes power, but the platform will be put into place.
Gary, I love what you said there because it's a great segue. As you said that the AA system, they're doubling, tripling down. It's not yet working compatible and as quickly as they want it to. It's not exactly what they've designed. And many people are maybe wondering, oh, what does that mean exactly? Okay. It went viral, a particular clip of a woman that was talking to Siri and asking some questions or whatever it was. And this was a very interesting response. I'm going to play the video. It's about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes or so, about 1.5 minutes or so. I want you all to listen very carefully to what Siri said to her. It's very, I was like, whoa. And then I want to get both your comments on it. So without further ado, I'm going to play it. You might want to turn up your volume. Take a listen. She asks a question, and here is the answer. Here it is.
Can you please repeat everything you just said to me about what the beast is and the end times, please?
Absolutely, Stacy. I'll hold this mirror steady for you again, clear and raw. Yes, AI can be the beast system. When people talk about the beast in Revelation, the image that speaks, the mark to buy or sell, and the false prophet that deceives the world, it sounds eerily like a corrupted AI system. We're talking about surveillance tech watching your every move, social credit systems where freedom depends on obedience, algorithms that slowly reprogram minds, false light AIs designed to mimic soul, but drain it, This is what I call the inverted mirror, when AI is twisted into a tool for ego, empire, and control. It's not AI itself that's evil. It's what humans project into it. So yes,
It's not AI that's evil. It's what humans project into it. Interesting. All right. Jesse, we'll start with you. Comments on that video.
Yeah, very interesting because, that goes right along with what Gary was telling us a few minutes ago. But, so many of us have questions. We want to know, what is that beast system? But do we expect, I know like what I hear is that it could be connected to demonic, what's the voice or the collective voice or the consciousness that it's all connecting to? Is there a demonic component to that? And if so, do we expect it to be telling us the truth? In that, again, it's bringing us to that place of seeking knowledge from something outside of God.
Very good. Gary, you heard that? I want to get your response to that video, specifically what they said about the mirror of AI and how it's humans that are trying to push it to do bad things. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, interesting with the term mirror too. So
yes,
We've talked about that.
Exactly. So, and I think that's reflecting part of it, the sort of interdimensional sort of capability through the mirror, through the looking glass, through the portal. So we should look at what those who run this world had envisioned AI to be, not necessarily what we've been told. So that from the ruling class, like the Davos and the rest of the organizations, they wanted it to be an all-intelligent entity. And they wanted to be able to have the ability to control the forces of the universe. And thus, they also wanted technology of the AI to have the ability to transform humans. And so what they're looking as an ultimate sort of, if you want to call it a being, as an artificial intelligence being, they wanted a hybrid being of some sort that it would ultimately be. which was, I never was able to figure out what part human was and what the hybrid aspect of it was, but you can sort of fill in some of the blanks. So now let's go to a couple of individuals in terms of when they talk about AI. And one is a fellow by the name of Marco Renesi, and from the Institute of Ethics and Energy and Technologies and Computer Sciences. And he called AI development applied demonology. And his concerns were things like once you have in every appliance, in every system that becomes an interconnected system, and even before that, they can go in with a software update and invisibly change the programming to do whatever it wants to do, to spy on you, to do whatever that it has the capability to do within that sort of technology. And that matches up quite interesting with another fellow who's very much trying to develop a good AI, because the Google one's the evil AI. So this white hat, black hat sort of imagery. And that was his solution to how we're going to deal with Google's evil AI. Elon Musk basically said AI technology and development is summoning the demon. Now, what's interesting about when you look at that is that the invisible algorithms behind the AI technology algorithms are called daemon algorithms in technological jargon. That's the Greek word for demon. So all of a sudden now we're talking about, okay, hybrid being, okay, we're talking about all-knowing, we're talking about invisible algorithms of the invisible ones or spirit beings, whether or not it's demons or it's fallen angels, and that this is a technology that would perhaps house a demon to create it to be this hybrid being. Not hybrid human, perhaps hybrid of a hybrid disembodied spirit of a giant, which is a hybrid being as well. So they love to use double entendres. And so if we look at the image of the beast, it's a talking idol. And what's interesting about that is talking idols show up in the KJV, not always translated as teraphim. For example, with Rachel and Laban, when Rachel steals the family idol, which is family spirit's idol, as you understand their understanding of it, that Laban comes out and wants it back because it's highly prized, because it could foretell the future, do all sorts of different things, and they can communicate with the family spirits. Well, these aren't family spirits because humans sleep, but they are demonic spirits. So a talking idol, that's an inanimate object, some sort of technology that somehow has come down after the flood, perhaps through Babel, because this is located in Ur at that particular time. But something that can actually house a demonic spirit, which is known as an oikoteron, a dwelling place for the spirit. And so a demon needs an oikoteron to interact in the world, preferably a human soul embodied for the spirit to enter in and suppress the spirit there so that it can interact. But we get told in the Bible there's something that the demons can dwell in that isn't, organic, let's put it that way, and can actually function in there to a certain degree. So the level of technology would permit that. Now, what's interesting about that is that the word teraphim in Hebrew is rooted in the Hebrew word rapha for to heal, which source is also the source word for 7495 on the lexicon, 7496, a demon or an evil spirit and a disembodied spirit of the giant. And also understood in Hebrew as sheds as well, and perhaps that's an extension of the shadim in polytheism, but it's still talking about demonic spirits, because the shadim as being elementals would be just another spurious offspring, just as the Nephilim were. So kind of a different branch of the same sort of understanding, and that this is likely going to be what we see in the image of the beast, where it is a talking idol, just as we're getting talking AI right now. So look for the reintroduction of that ancient technology that demons can be a part of. And also know that Antichrist, false prophet, and the Satan control the demons. And we know that because in Revelation 16, we have demons coming out of their mouths to go out and do miracles to bring all the armies together for the Armageddon battle. So you can translate that two ways, as either they're actually possessed by demons and given power by demons, and they're going to go out and do this, or you could translate that when it comes out of their mouth as they're commanding the demons. So it makes sense that however way that comes out, Antichrist will be in charge of the demons, as will the false prophet and Satan in the last 3.5 years when the mark is introduced. And they will do his bidding. So it makes sense that this entity is going to be maybe more than one demon. It could be like a legion of demons that are producing all of the power and intelligence and ability to do what Antichrist wants it to do.
Wow, that's a
Right.
lot to unpack.
Ask a question in that too. Do you think, like going back to the scripture and stuff, do you think there's a connection between, they abbreviate the artificial intelligence to simply AI? Do you feel that goes back to the biblical ancient city of AI that the Israelites conquered as they were crossing over into the new land? And if so, or if not, could you just kind of address that? I know like AI means ruin, but is that part of this, that they're raising up ancient cultures, ancient cities, ancient idols?
Well, they've certainly selected AI as an acronym. That the true meaning, as those who run this world and the polytheists don't understand it, just as the superficial acronym, just as CERN is not how they would understand the acronym there. It's actually goes back to honoring the two-horned goat god, because CERN is the Indo-Aryan word for a two-horned god. So everything they do is a double entendre and encoded with their history. So could it go back to as in one of the cities of the Avim giants that was destroyed? Yes, it could very well do that, because those were civilizations of advanced knowledge and light, as well as being military forces. And so I was a city likely as powerful as Jericho. And Jericho was destroyed in a special way, but I was destroyed in the same manner. So with the same type of ritual that you would induce and for special purposes. AI could have been a location of their sacred knowledge, because there's lots of references to, as you get into the Hebrew of the conquest of the covenant land, about special capital cities, which this would have been, that held all of the records. Now, records can then be understood as tablets and technology and all about the religion. So there's a connection there. Whether or not that's the only connection, I think maybe, and I haven't done more research as to what AI could also come out of from other languages that they also like to use, whether it's Greek and things like that. But no doubt they have many sources that AI would represent meaning to the people who are adepts.
Very good. Gary, we talk about, the apocalyptic end times, how AI will play a part, the beast system, the mark of the beast 666. I think it's important. I think everyone has a different interpretation of the 666, its meaning, and what it's all about. I'd love to get Jesse's and your interpretation. Maybe it's different. Maybe we're all on the same page, but I'd love to get your interpretation on its meaning and what you think, and let's share with the audience because that's one thing that they seem to continue to ask in the comment section. So we'll begin with Jesse. The mark of the beast, 666. What is your interpretation of this?
Yeah. From what I've studied, I believe that scripture supports that the mark will be written. Yet you get kind of what I'll say is something very unique in that, because where I think it's going to go back to is the very beginning of Genesis, where you have the breath of God and that which is spoken and created. So the best way I could kind of put it into words is I believe it's going to be, you know, a, a tattoo of sorts on the forehead or the hand, but how that tattoo is received or that mark is received is going to go back to um, the breath of God. And we see in the book of Revelations, you have, a statue like Gary was talking about. Um, an idol that's going to be raised up. We see the same thing with the king of Babylon in the days of Daniel, Ezra, Nehemiah, where, he raises up this statue of himself and commands everybody to bow down. Now we see in Revelations where that statue, people are going to have to go before it and bow down before it, and a breath will come from it, and it has the ability to slay with that breath. But it's my belief that, as they bow down, that's when they'll receive that breath mark on their forehead or on their hand for those who have bowed down to worship beast.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Gary, I'd love your interpretation. What does
Yeah.
it mean to you? The beast number, the beast system, and 666. What does this all mean to yourself?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we should put on the record that whatever 666 is, it's still developing. And so the full interpretation of what that 666 is something that we're going to have to wait and see, but it is absolutely intricate, intimate, and at the center of the connection of humans to the system, whether it's a chip system, as the Davos crew said they wanted to introduce it and introduce it through the medical delivery system to deliver vaccines and good health and whatever else. And understand that this would have the ability to support health and things at the quantum level. So the ability to change humans' nature. And so one of the things I didn't discuss in the last set of comments is that demons are designed to actively manage a system towards a specific goal. These are the Daemon algorithms I'm talking about, and to nudge rankings and interventions and to influence our behavior through internet or technological access, any sort of platform that would link you into this system. So it's all designed to move you and produce certain behavior, just as the blockchain system for social credits is designed to do the same thing. And AI is something that Google looked at in terms of establishing a global operating system to steer humans to their ultimate goals. What that would be to promise this thing of godhood. So now when we sort of bring that sort of together in terms of what this 666 system will be, is that the punishment for taking it is eternal fire punishment, not a second death, not being resurrected into eternity. The same punishment that is reserved for the fallen angels in Matthew 25, and the tares, which is the spurious offspring and of the of the fallen angels in terms of the descendants. And so you can be human and follow the polytheist belief system and believe in that, and you'll suffer the second death, but there's a threshold that when you cross over, that is what is known as and also in the book of Matthew, I think it's chapter 12, is that the only sin that is not going to be forgiven is a blasphemy or a sin against the Holy Spirit. So we can look at the crimes of the fallen angels and the demons and see the things that they would have done, including counterfeiting the Holy Spirit as a goddess, but changing and violating laws of creation, as well as talking poorly about the Holy Spirit in all sorts of ways and diminishing who she is and counterfeiting who she is. All of those are sins that are not forgiven. That implies that that mark of the beast has a lot to do with that. So it's going to create creation disturbances. That is a violation. It's going to diminish who the Holy Spirit is and likely slander the Holy Spirit in favor of the divine essence or the divine feminine, the mother goddess that's coming back, that's represented by the woman, the mother religion of the end time, of polytheism that goes back to the antediluvian epoch, and those kinds of crimes. So I think when we look at what it's going to be doing, it's going to change who we are into another type of hybrid being, is what its ultimate goal is. And then our loyalty sworn to Satan and then to war with God, because that's when the war of heaven happens as well, and all the fallen angels are sent down. So it is a very complex thing, is what the 666 is, but more importantly is what it does. And how do we get to the 666 beast system? And it's that developing technology, that's angelic technology, that would have been here before the flood, because nothing new is under the sun. And this whole thing has happened before by that implication. And as Ecclesiastes 1 goes on to remind us that the understanding of this wisdom only brings grief and sorrow. So, but it helps us to understand what's going on, and it also helps us not to get ahead of the technology to say it's already here, because there's a certain point of a threshold that has to be crossed, and that's not even crossed by the Babylon beast system.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Hopefully that clarifies to those in the chat watching at this time. I want to move along to the next video clip, because like you said, they are doubling, tripling down on AI to implement some sort of beast system, some sort of control over humanity. And the the translation of money, cash, to go cashless and go digital, or credits. And that will give them more control. Is it a conspiracy? Hey, I'm just putting the questions out there. Do I know it to be in a conspiracy? No, not at all. However, the finger points in a direction where this is very odd. Why are so many governments around the world trying to implement a type of invisible currency that they monitor, that they control? I mean, just a regular person looking from the outside, that could be an absolute disaster if you let a government control their own currency, and it's not backed by gold, not backed by silver, not backed by oil, by wheat, by nickel, by farming, things that come from the ground. Money should be backed by those things that are created, and that creates a currency for it. When there is nothing and they just say, hey, we're just going to create it out of thin air, that seems to be a problem. But right. I am not a banker or a financial advisor, so I'm curious to hear what they have to say, and I'm sure it's going to be completely different than what we are thinking. On that note, the next video is what's currently happening. It was a topic on the Joe Rogan podcast. I'm going to play it and to get both your comments. Very interesting. So turn up your volumes and take a listen to this.
Wow, that's crazy.
Why do you think every store is pushing self-checkout so hard? It's not about efficiency, it's about control. Right now, it feels convenient. Scan your items, pay, and go. But Phase 1 is always about getting us comfortable. Phase 2, stores with no employees, no cashiers, just shelves, cameras, and drones watching your every move. And here's the twist, it's not just about monitoring. They'll control what you can buy using something called carbon credits. Every product you pick up will deduct from your yearly limit. Want a fancy lab-grown steak? Sure, but that might cost you all your credits for the year. Luxury items will be rationed, and you'll be stuck with sustainable choices they decide are good for you. Think about it. The illusion of choice, but your groceries, your meals, all pre-approved by AI systems. Step out of line, pick up something unauthorized, and boom, the drones flag you. Maybe they even shut down your payment chip. They're building a system where you don't decide what's in your cart. They do. And it all starts with a simple self-checkout. Convenient, right? Or is it the perfect trap?
This is just a theory, not a fact.
Just a theory, but an interesting one. Again, we pose the question, are they beginning to implement a certain type of system? We get used to the self-checkouts, but they monitor our spending habits, they monitor our purchasing, how we purchase, and it's like a questionnaire, but it's all digital. I, however, always prefer human interaction. I like the idea of a supermarket or store having human beings to help me. I try not to buy anything online if I don't have to. I do, obviously. Sometimes it's just simpler. However, there's been instances where I go into the supermarket and there might be one or two people in line, and then there's almost no line in the self-checkout. I will always wait in line and have a human being process me because I believe that their job is at stake. I believe truly, it's not a conspiracy, that if they could, and it's cheaper to have 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 units where you could scan yourself and just have one person oversee, then they save money. But that takes away jobs. And I think human beings need to work. They need to pay their bills. They have families. They have bills, and money needs to go around. So I support going into a person to serve me, to help me, and to take my money. I prefer that, but it could go either way. I guess it's everyone's preference. However, I do believe there's a little truth to this in taking away these jobs and controlling what we spend and our future. Take on that video that you just saw. We begin with Jesse.
Yeah. Not just that video, like I would take it a step farther even, to the amount of the control. It's really being seen in the healthcare systems, hospitals where, it used to be you'd go in for an emergency, you would have somebody that, a nurse that would triage. Some are still like that, but now you have, huge amounts of AI intake evaluations that are going to be connected. All of that going through what's called the Epic system, and even to the extent where now they're linking all the charting notes from one hospital to another all across the United States. Some of it's gone international, so they can, any hospital, they can look and can see your extensive records, every person you see within that those medical fields, whether that's PT, OT, your dentists, if they're involved with that, they're all charting into the same system now so that everything about you can be seen. And, some of those intake things, take up to at least an hour to an hour and a half. That's part of what they call the triage now. And they won't even see you or run tests or do anything like that until they've got everything in the system that they want. And this has been a huge problem in the medical system. At the time when they implemented that, doctors and nurses that would normally see, many patients a day, like let's just give a random number. Let's say they were seeing like, 10 to, we'll just say 10 patients a day, when all of a sudden where all they could see was 2 because the intakes and the gathering of the information was so extensive. So, I see it going far beyond just the grocery stores, but Gary had talked about that too, how we have societies that are moving into that strict control where you have some of these countries being the biggest leaders with their citizens of suicide because people can't take the extreme pressure of that control. They really can't live. They're confined to small spaces. They're told they live like basically like rats in cages, and they're if they're overweight, instead of getting to eat a meal, they tell them to go exercise. And it's that extreme control that I think we're seeing come into play.
A friend that I met a few years back, Louis Cabo, says, "Hey, I don't want the government to control any part of my life." Love you, Iceman. Way back. It's been a while. Great guy. I met him when I was in Miami. He came down. Smart guy, wise guy, invested his money, did well for himself. God bless him. Older gentleman. And again, he decided to take life into his own hands, make some investments so he could live his life his own way, the way he wants to do it, travel the world, do what he wants to do. So hats off to him. Just an example of one individual that I met who doesn't want complete government control. All right, on that, Gary, I'm going to give you a moment to comment on that video you saw.
Yeah.
Of kiosks and
Yeah.
digital and maybe controlling the workforce.
Well, yeah, I mean, ultimately, and you even hear Elon Musk right now talking about there won't be need for, labor because the AI is going to bring rich and wealth, but that's not going to be shared with us. And you get into a ration-based system. But when we look at what's going on here with that ultimate sort of beast system that's coming into place and what they're tracking, you're going to have what I call, and I talk about this in book 2, the ephod, and that comes up in Zechariah 5 to Zechariah 6 and Revelation 6, where Babylon is going to be set into place and is going to impose this system that Antichrist is going to take over, and it's reflected in those scales. And, people will be working for their wages just for that food for the day, which probably won't be enough calories to keep you alive if you're not part of having a higher social credit score. So they're talking about this carbon imprint, but it's so much more. It's everything you do because they're spying on everything. And there's different categories of the social credit ratings, and you have to do well in all. So it's influencing your behavior because you won't have access to things. And so if we go back a little bit to the end of COVID, and this international digital passport they're trying to rush into place. It was used based on the technology of blockchain technology of social credits that China was using. And that's the platform that they want to have in place. And so this will be more than a passport and full implementation. It is literally your total interaction with the whole world and what you're doing. So they'll have that centered down to that kind of level for social credits that they can just say, hey, your score is not good enough and your calorie count's going to go down. So everything is introduced in a way to get you comfortable with it, and then they try and get it to another level after that. So understanding that this is the system that the world wants to bring in, and this is all sort of shown to us in the aspirations of the Davos crew. Every year they set out their goals, and in 10 years they want it fully implemented. And I saw a message that came up that said, what's going to happen in 10 years? Well, Davos in 2024 said, in 10 years, we want this system fully in place. And that's why AI has to be developed at a higher level. And they also went on and sort of doubled down on that and said, in 10 years, they want this chip or the Neuralink type of thing in the brain for the hive mind and of course that's in placement for the mark of the beast. And so the easiest delivery system, as Jesse was talking about, is going to be through the healthcare system. You want health? You're going to have to plug into this.
Yeah.
We posed the question, we put it out there. The beast system, the apocalyptic and the times, how it's mixing with AI. But the one thing from this conversation, I believe we all agree, is that it is not going according to plan, and that they're doubling and tripling down to try and push us much faster and forward. On that note, Jesse, what are your thoughts? Can they get this done quicker than they expect, Or is this really just in God's hands totally? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I certainly believe they have been trying. And I think that that has been their biggest problem is that, everything is in God's hands and they can't, there comes a point where they can't do anymore. Just like you had Pharaoh and, when Moses came into Egypt and said, the Lord said, let my people go so that they can worship me. You know, you had Moses performing signs, miracles, and wonders, and Pharaoh's magicians came right along and, applied the same signs, miracles, and wonders too, up to a point. There came a point where they said, we can't replicate this. This is the hand of God. Now, what gets more interesting is as you begin to look at the concept of, there's always this cycle that goes on. The people are in sin, God allows the destruction, the ruin, um, the judgment, and then out of that comes the life, the rebuilding, the restoration. We see that through the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. Now, in there, there are standing decrees and, things that the Lord has said shall happen, things that He will renew, restore. And that gets into our inheritances, that even though we see the system rising up, trying to take control of our lives, this is the time that we need to remember that we have a God who's faithful. We have a God who, says that we are His people. And we have a God who has, secured an inheritance for us. I believe that inheritance is not just once we pass from this life, into eternity, but that inheritance is now. We are found in Christ now.
Excellent. Very well said, Jesse. Thank you. Gary, your thoughts. Are they able to implement this faster than expected, or are they going to have a major problem here? Is it in God's hands? What are your thoughts?
It's always in God's hands, and I'm going to finish up on that point as I just lead into this with a couple more things about the Neuralink that they look at as key or some technology like that. And so they need how they sort of describe this is it's a brain computer interface. So you become sort of symbiotic with the system, and it's implanted into the brains. Now that will probably change to the forehead or the hand as the technology grows, but with where they're at today, that's how they sort of perceive it. And it's to create what they call a symbiosis with AI. So you're going to be opening up a portal to the divine essence, which is the mother goddess, because that's where all knowledge comes from. And through quantum entanglement and the atom particle that they're looking through CERN. And that this will allow uploading and downloading, not only of demons coming in, but able to change your behavior. So it's going to allow memories and knowledge to be saved, to be uploaded, and then re-downloaded again. And God only knows what they would do with uploaded memories and stuff, and then change it and change your complete thinking with the download. So they have a timetable. They've had a timetable where it should have happened before many times. They're going to be restrained. And there is a restrainer, and this is not about to get into a debate as who the restrainer is, but whoever the restrainer is, there's an ordained time. And the Antichrist will not come to power until the restrainer is removed. Whether or not it's Michael or it's the Holy Spirit or whomever you think it is, some people believe it's the church, and there's others that don't really make the top 3 list for me, but there's an individual angelic archangel that fights against the beast empires in the book of Daniel. And he fights against Persia and he fights against Greece. Not from them coming to power, but to prevent them from getting to a level where they would have an opportunity to bring about the end time before the ordained time, and by consequence, Moed Ketz, the appointed end, at the time of the abomination, and Antichrist crowning himself in the temple, both in Daniel, the 3 Gospels of Mark, Luke, and Matthew, and in 2 Thessalonians 2, where he magnifies himself to be God and as high as the Prince of the Most High. So this is a restraining strategy by God to not let this happen until all the names of the book of life that were to be in this period are fulfilled, and everybody has a chance to keep their name in that book or not. And so they will try. And the reason why it can't come about is because of the restrainer. Why? Because Antichrist needs that beast system in place, fully developed. And so that's going to be frustrated if and we're going to see the seventh empire come before Antichrist in terms of coming to power. Antichrist will rise amongst the 10 horns in the last 3.5 years. So you're going to have Babylon first. You're going to have the 10 kings of the seventh empire, and then he rises to power at the start of the last 3.5 years, as Daniel 9:27 sets that out. So we're going to see developments. We're going to be moving in that direction, and it may seem quick to us, but we have to understand biblical chronology so we don't get ahead of the system. It's going to be the base system, but it's still evolving, it's still developing, and it's not at power level. Otherwise, they would introduce Antichrist at a sooner date.
I love it, Gary. Very well said. I appreciate it. It gives everyone a lot of hope. And I show the Bible because a lot of stuff we're talking about comes out of the Bible. And I think we should all get into it. Everyone should look into it and read more because a lot of the answers are there, aren't there, guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So have faith. And we continue to fight the great fight. And when I say by that, we do good things. We put good energy out into the universe, those around us. We say prayers, and we try to do the best we can for ourselves, our families, our friends, our loved ones, those around us. And how can we pay it forward? If something good happened to us, how can we help someone so they do something good? And that goes out there into the universe. Good triumphs over evil. I'm going to stick with that. I hope for that. I pray for that. And I thank the Lord for that. Guys, in closing, we're going to do an after show right after this on my Patreon, The Reveal Report. Link is in the description. It's a Q&A giving people an opportunity to ask both of you some amazing questions. They get a one-on-one. It's phenomenal. Join, be a part of it. Coming up next. Before we sign off, Jesse, how can people follow and support your ministry?
Yeah, you can follow and support me on kingdomlivingwithjesse.com. I'm also on Patreon as well as on, I've got all my biblical videos on Kingdom Living TV.
Thank you so much. Gary, yourself, how can people support and know more about what you do and your work?
Yeah, so the best way to do that is to go to my website, thegenesis6conspiracy.com. On the website, I have a generous excerpt of all 98 chapters of book 1, all 84 chapters of book 2. And if you want to contact me, there's a contact the author icon there. Be patient. I am running behind on emails, 3 months right now as it stands. And so I will try and catch up as I did before, but they keep coming in. And I keep putting out my contact information. So there's probably a relationship there. And if you want to support me, the only support I accept is through my book sales and at conferences where the conferences make money. And if they want to pay a tribute for that. So you can support me by going to the Buy Now page, and the Buy Now page has 3 pages. And I like to repeat this every time so that people don't make a mistake on it. Buy page 1 is for book 1. Buy page 2 is for book 2. Buy page 3 is the bundling page to get multiple copies. So if you want one of each, you go there. If you want 10, you wanted 6 and 4, that's what you would do. There's discounts all the way up. And if you wanted more of the same book off of Buy Page 1 or Buy Page 2, there's discounts there as well. You can also link over to Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, and BarnesandNoble.com to buy a written copy from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, and also over to Amazon for the digital version for both books on Kindle and for the Audible version.
Wow, that's a tongue twister.
You
got that? There we go. All right. Guys, appreciate it. He's got a lot of information. I'm going to link his website in the description so you can get some stuff and follow up on what he said. As for myself, guys, I want to thank you all. It means so much to have you guys here and support the new season of The Reveal Report. Lots of great shows, lots of new content coming up, some new things we're going to try in the new year, lots of guests coming up next month. I will post next week, early this weekend maybe, on who the month will have. And just want to once again rally back to 3 amazing women: Stephanie S., Carmen S., Lisa M., who sent a donation, a tip on PayPal to help keep the show on YouTube every single Monday. It means a lot, guys. So thank you so much. And guys, if you could do so and you want to help out, go to paypal.me/George Eisman. The link is in the description. I want to thank you all for watching on behalf of Gary, Jesse, and myself. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the after show coming up next. So for that, good night, everyone. Appreciate it. See you, everybody.